right. What's going on, everybody? Sorry, I'm a little bit behind. Fuck. Hope my hair dries okay. Is it gonna dry okay? Hope it dries okay. Fuck. You know what? We're just gonna have to trust that this is gonna dry okay. Sorry everybody about this. Got something right. Yeah. Sorry about the late stuff. I will do the late for the sake of speed. We'll do this. The bro got sprayed by Zaza. For the sake of speed, we are gonna do late points next Monday. So I'll add the 6 late points. I want to contest that it was 5, but you know what? I will give it to you because it was multiple delays. So we'll do 6. We'll do 6 late points. Yeah, let's get into it. Sorry about that, everybody. Crazy day so far. Yeah, just give me the reminder on Monday. Reminder on Monday. When am I going to start One Piece TCG? Never. My time playing trading card games is forever over. After I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And Hearthstone, and both of them are just money sinks. And card games, trading card games always become really imbalanced and unfun after some period of time. The Tier Treviso, thanks to the 2-man. Is Zaza the fruit of Luffy's mother, or is she her? I think that you gotta wait till next Tuesday's video. Unfortunately. Yeah. Again, I'm always going to be of the belief that there's not actually any gods in One Piece. I think that Oda tried to make that clear. It's all just fruit users. The magic in One Piece is people's own imaginations, yada yada. Bro was 6. No, I could screen share. I could do the screen share thing that I always do where I show how many points it was, but it's just not worth it right now. You can play Yu-Gi-Oh! For free? I guess online you can, but that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Yeah, wait for next Tuesday's video. Zoro stands are coping, LMAO. I thought this was a good chapter. Gotta be Dragon's Fruit. I think the Rain Goddess Zaza is a huge reveal. And let me just add, okay. It fits in my... No, I'll save it. I talk about it in the chapter review. I don't need to go over it all here. But this is, if you look at my recent videos, this is all stuff I've been talking about. God fruits, right? Potentially Dragon having the Rain God. This is all stuff that's now coming into place. So I'm pretty excited about the direction the story's going. Oh, shoot. I do not like the... Hold on. Let me zoom in a little bit. 1 second. I know there's a way that I can zoom on the computer with this new camera, but I don't know what it is just yet. So, we got this. When are Zoro stands not cope? What's there to cope about? Here's my feeling is that Zoro fights Sommer, Sanji fights Killingham, and I think ultimately, once they get past those characters, I think we're going to see the Strats in a team effort against Emu. I think that's where things are headed. Also, let's get the Street Likes to 50 real quick. GDY7 says, I don't like the Rain God reveal. At least for Sun God Nika, Oda emphasized the meaning of the sun in the story. We don't even know what rain, forest, earth represents in One Piece. I think forest is probably the weakest one in terms of symbolic significance so far. But watch this Tuesday's video coming up, because I think that there is more to the idea behind rain that has been established in the story already. Powerful NL, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 36 months, man. Does Dragon have the Rain God fruit? I'm just going to say straight up, yes, I believe Dragon has the Rain God fruit. I believe we've got a lot of foreshadowing for it. Frankly, I almost wanted to title this chapter Theory Confirmed, because last video I was... chapter review Theory Confirmed, because last video I was literally the last 2 videos are very similar to, like, last two videos I talked about, 2 videos ago I talked about the god fruits are all going to become real things in One Piece, right? And I talked about how that's kind of been Oda's natural progression. He started with the basic fruits, then over time he started introducing mythical zoans, and then from the climax of Wano on, it's been about introducing the final tier of fruits, which is the god fruits, right? So this is kind of a confirmation, almost, that yeah, the gods are going to be important. It's likely that there's going to be a rain god, rain goddess fruit, right? And then last video, so that was 2 videos ago, and then last video I talked about how I think the man marked by flames has the wind logia because dragon probably has the rain god fruit, right? So to me, this seems like, before that felt speculative, right? It's still speculative, but it felt especially speculative because it was like, we don't even know if the rain god is gonna, if like Oda's gonna bring it up again in the story. It wasn't mentioned in the Harley, but 1 chapter later, the rain god is very much a big deal. Someone's gonna have the fruit. I think there's a lot of signs that point to dragon having it. Yeah. And does dragon have the powerful NL? Make sure to get your Pirate King submissions in while you can. Right now, Pirate King podcast submissions are open. For those of you who don't know, the Pirate King podcast is for my top tier of patrons and top tier of YouTube members. It is a once a month podcast where I go over, or where every Pirate King tier member can submit a question on anything, One Piece, other anime, other manga, TV, books, movies, NBA, real life, whatever. And I answer each question in great detail, in far greater depth than I usually have time to on streams. Everyone's questions are answered and compiled into about an hour-and-a-half long podcast that drops every month. Right now, submissions for that are open, so if you want to join, if you want to support, then you can get your question in for this upcoming podcast, and you get access to all 40 previous podcasts. Justin, thanks for the 5. Maybe there's a connection with Zaza, Devil Fruit users, and Nami, plus Dragon. Maybe Usopp and Robin joins the fight against Sommers and killing him. I would love for Usopp and Robin to... Okay, so here's what I would love to see. Great points. I would love to see Robin get involved in the Sommers fight, if it can be done in a manner that doesn't undermine Zoro. And with Usopp, I think Usopp getting involved in the killing him fight, maybe with help, right, would be perfect, because I think Sanji... Shoot. Can Sanji... No, wait, whoa. Is Sanji being sent to fight Zaza? Sanji's being sent to fight Zaza, right? I was about to say that Sanji will fight Zaza while like somebody else fights killing, like Usopp could fight killing him, because I think killing him is not the best like one-on-one fighter. I think his ability really is his creations. But Sanji can't fight Zaza, can he? Hold on a second, right? How's Sanji gonna fight Zaza? Interesting stuff right here, right? How's he... Sanji can't, right? Zaza's a woman. Zaza's literally water. I think if Sanji identifies her as a woman, which is what she appears like, I don't know if he's fighting Zaza. I think maybe it'll be like somebody else needs to take care of Zaza while Sanji fights killing him. I'm really curious about this. I'm very, very curious about this. How's it gonna work? Is there a connection with Zaza, Devil Fruit users, and Nami? So I think Nami is a possibility. I think Nami, personally, I think she's the lowest possibility for getting the Rain Goddess fruit. Just because she doesn't need it, you know? She's already got crazy powerful abilities at her disposal. You know, like Oda's been giving her crazy upgrades. She currently has Big Mom level firepower, you know? If she gets Rain as well, like the Rain Goddess fruit as well, one, I think it would almost undermine her abilities in the sense that so far her fighting style is based on like her knowledge of weather patterns and like using the climb attack. If she just gets the Rain Goddess fruit and she can just become this god that manipulates the weather, I think that would kind of undermine her core skills. That's my feeling. And then on top of that, Oda's already given her crazy powerful upgrades. Like, she's got an upgrade tree right here with Zeus and the climb attack, right? So I don't think it's necessary. Yeah, but it's always possible. I would say Dragon and Vivi are the 2 best candidates. JP, thanks for the 5. Been joking that Rox and Herald never split the sky at Reverie because they were too high for clouds, and now that's actually probably true. That is a really good point. I mean, it's objectively true now, right? There's no clouds up there. Or I guess we have to go back and look through Reverie panels, but that's really funny. That's a good point. I mean, Rox and Herald, I think Oda doesn't always show a sky split. You know, like I think Roger and Whitebeard's iconic clash, it didn't emphasize a sky split, although the sky probably was split. Like sometimes Oda doesn't just doesn't show it, you know, but you can assume. Because Rox and Herald, they sent everyone within 5 kilometers like flying or something, which I think, or knocked them out or something like that, I forget. Which is like its own unique effect. Ison2339, thanks for joining the Pirate King tier 3 months ago. I hope you're enjoying it. Definitely get your submissions in for the month, man. Sanji was glazed by killing him for his durability. He was not unconscious after that Emu advanced Conqueror's haki kick, and he flew like a Super Saiyan to that village in minutes over across Elbaf, carrying that Usopp. Huge W. My opinion is just that Sanji and Zoro, they're going to get Ws here, so how about let's wait for them to actually get the Ws before we're like, you didn't get fucked up that bad, you know? But Sanji does look pretty impressive this chapter, I will agree. The Saintly Marco, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 35 months. Brother, tell me what to think about Zaza. So many thoughts in my head. I think Zaza, I think the Rain God being a real thing, and specifically a Rain Goddess in this situation, is really, really cool. I think this is almost confirmation for me. I think this pretty much is confirmation that all of the deities that we've been referenced so far, Earth God, Forest God, Rain God, Sea Devil, Serpent, all of those are going to be real. Right? They're real in the sense that there's going to be fruits for them, at the very least. Like, there's going to be fruits. So, very, very excited about this. Keep in mind that this is Killingham's vision of what she looks like. It's not necessarily accurate, right? Like, the same way that Killingham's version of Nidhogg isn't exactly the same as what, like, Loki's Nidhogg form looks like. Same for Luffy, right? So this is what Killingham kind of imagines. So this is not a final design, but it's a strong indicator of what the final fruit reveal design will look like. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. One Piece fan 74, thanks for the 10. Zoro fans are getting trolled over the bullets, but funnily enough, I think bullets have killed more characters in One Piece than Advanced Conqueror's haki attacks have. Odin survived fighting Kaido, but died being shot. That is a very good point. I think One Piece is kind of like Whitebeard gets riddled with bullets or whatever. Bullets are just super effective on people that don't have like Kaido or Big Mom level durability. But I would also just add that like it's an attack from Emu, right? It involves Maki. It's an attack from Emu. It is what it is. Sulong Beppa, thanks for the 2. Oda's early sketch of Saint Shalria looks like Zaza. Oh shit, you're right. Shalria. Well, I haven't seen the early sketch, but I know that she wears that veil. Oh my god, if there's gonna be a celestial oh my god, Saint Shalria. Early sketch, One Piece. Shit. Oh shit. Oh no. I'm just I don't even know the early sketch you're talking about. I'm just seeing the design. So here's the tricky thing. I think we got a close-up of her reactions during Vegapug's speech. I worry, what if we get a good guy Celestial Dragon? I would not want her. I've seen too much evil from her. The dragon upscale gonna be crazy? Yeah, this is the type of fruit that... Because for a long time I've speculated that dragon... Like, you know, if you look at my recent rankings, top 30 rankings, modern day and stuff, I kind of go ahead and just... I give dragon the nod over... I've kind of generally ranked dragon in my last few top 30 rankings at number 2 alive today after Emu, right? But and this is before Loki came along. I think Loki complicates things, or before Loki's strength was really established, right? So like the last 15 or so chapters, or like last 10 chapters have really changed the game for Loki's scaling. Last 10, 15 chapters. But in my previous top 30s that I did, you know, 8 months ago, a year and a half ago, a year or two ago, right? In that span, I would usually put Dragon around like 2. Just because it feels like there's a lot of buildup for him, and it feels like Oda's been hiding how he fights. Like, objectively, Oda's been more tight with how Dragon fights and has been saving Dragon in combat for longer than everyone, right? All the Yonko, Shanks, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, Blackbeard, right? All the Shichibukai, Mihawk, etc., right? All the admirals, we've seen them all fight. All the old generation, right? Fucking Roger, Rocks, Heralds, all of them we've seen them fight. And now fucking Emu, right? So Oda's been saving Dragon longer than everybody. Extremely important role in the story, head of the revolution, Luffy's father. So all of that has made me feel for a long time like there's not anything concrete for Dragon, but it's just the sense that, okay, if Oda's saving one character up on the good guy side above everybody else, maybe Dragon just is the second strongest in the world right now, okay? But I've never had like a clear idea of how that would definitely be. I mean, like Mihawk, world's strongest swordsman, right? Potentially stronger with a blade, like potentially stronger than the likes of Rocks, Roger, etc., right? Shanks, Joy Boy, he got the Joy Boy comparisons with haki, right? Fucking Loki right now, crazy displays of like he's got two of the strongest fruits ever, right, at his disposal, plus Ancient Giant, plus Crazy Conquerors haki, all of that stuff, right? So I haven't had anything concrete to be like, why would Dragon be above, like what would Dragon have in his arsenal to be above these characters, right? So it's always been a loose sort of ranking for Dragon. This would finally be the missing piece, because I'm like, if Dragon just has the Wind Logia, that's strong. But in that case, Dragon needs to, like, Wind Logia is solid, but it's not going to be, like, at, like, the tippy top tiers, I just don't think that sort of thing matters that much, like, just having wind, I really don't think it makes a difference the higher you go in the story, or the higher you go on the ladder, but something like a God Fruit, like Emu has or like Luffy has, that is a big deal, So that could be a thing that would justify Dragon being close to the very top of the story, Julian Reed, thanks for the 5. Jinbei and Nami will hold off Zaza while Sanji focuses on killing him. I like that. I like that idea. It gives them both something to do. It's fucking water related. It makes sense. Zaza will be too strong and Sanji will unlock Advanced Conquerors haki to win and save everyone in time. Oh, yeah, that could be cool. I hope Sanji's forced to unlock Advanced Conquerors haki here. JP, thanks for the 5. If MMAs aren't too different from homies, I would love Nami to get a piece of Zaza's fruit to have a complete weather skill set as her endgame upgrade. That is a cool idea. JP, props. That's a really fun idea. Really fun idea. Dimian Wright says we have too many mythical zoans. I think it's the other, not the other way. But, also, let's get the stream likes up to 50 because we're almost there. I think the reality is that Oda probably always planned for... Oda's got so much planning, right, in his story. These gods were referenced all the way back in Skypiea. So, to me, it's probably the other way around, which is Oda imagined what he wanted the end game to look like and worked backwards from there to create simpler abilities for the beginning of the story, That's just my thought. I think that it is interesting that it appears like... I feel like zoans are... Yeah, like... I've explained this before, right? But when you're saying like too many... Like I did a whole video on it explaining the God Fruits and kind of the evolution of Devil Fruits in One Piece, right? Maybe I should have labeled it that, the evolution of Devil Fruits in One Piece. Yeah, we've got a lot of mythical zoans now, but it's kind of a natural consequence of, like, ability progression in the story, because mythical zoans are the only ability in One Piece that give characters multiple powers, right? Every other ability is just do one thing. Like, Devil Fruits are very simple. They're kind of like quirks in that sense, in that they let you do one thing. You can get creative in how you exercise that one ability, it's like I have springs, like Bellamy, so I can, put springs to power my punches, springs to jump around a lot, etc. You can do some creative stuff, but ultimately you can only do one thing, right? If you got fire like Sabo or Ace, you're mostly, they could get more creative with it, in my opinion. They mostly just do fire fists or fireballs or like fire, like you know, it's just one ability, right? You just go through the story. Like, even the most varied of devil fruits, like the string fruit, right? String fruit, you got a lot of different uses, but it's all variations of just being able to create and manipulate string, right? So that's your only ability. You can create and manipulate string. And Doflamingo gets creative with how he could use it. He's like, well, I'll attach it to people and use it as puppets. I'll cut people with it. I'll like wrap all my strings together to create a clone, stuff like that. But he's only got one power. Okay? So mythical zoans, we're getting more mythical zoans simply because it's not like Oda just suddenly started liking this, like he suddenly just started to like mythical zoans more than other fruits. It's just we're getting to the end of the story. We're kind of past the point where we have one-dimensional note, like one-note characters, right? We're trying to raise the bar here. Therefore, the only way to write characters that have crazy arsenals of abilities is mythical zoans. Nothing else in One Piece. Everything else in One Piece is just one concept. One element. I can turn into one animal. I have one little quirk with my paramecia ability, right? Mythical zone is like, well, what if you just transform into this made-up god? Let's call it, I don't know, the sun god, and the sun god can do 50 things, you know, like Oda. It's Oda's way of making up it's Oda's way of making up an ability that still technically is consistent with what devil fruits have been so far, but lets you break that rule of limited of like limiting power sets to one thing, you know. So does that make sense? Mythical zones are needed in the sense that, oh my god, what is going on with this? What the fuck? This is frustrating. Hold on, guys. All right, we gotta bust out the other camera. Give me 1 second here. Let's bust this out. It's because I was too late on charging this. Hope you guys can still hear me. Hold on. All right. Let's all calm down. I'll be back in 1 second here. Okay. Hopefully this works. Let's see. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. We're back. Let me move this shit around. Yeah. All right. Okay. We just got to work with this. All right. But yeah, my point being basically, mythical zoans, what do you call? Yeah. Mythical zones, you should want more mythical zones in the story because it's just more creative abilities. Alright, continuing on. Saint Silvers, thanks for 2. Oda couldn't even keep Gerd's fingers dead. Crazy. Hey, come on. I mean, it was good for a shock moment for 1 second, right? It shocked us for a second. I don't think Oda would, like, mutilate a pretty female character permanently. That's just not his MO. He just doesn't do that. It is the way he is. Lil Emu, thanks for the 5. If you look up Aztec god, rain god Tialok, you'll see some images that borderline look like what dragon might look like with the rain god fruit. Let's see. Tialok. Interesting. Maybe I should send these to our thumbnail artist. Because we gotta need that for this upcoming week's video. Thanks for sending that. JP, thanks for the 5. Considering Charlia and Veiled Gunko, wonder if female celestial clothing to a degree is inspired by the mythos of Zaza. Oh, that's an interesting point too. Yeah, like Charlia is not the only one who has that. Gunko does as well. Maybe that's a good point. That's a good point. Interesting. I wonder if that's just a style thing. Ajay05, thanks to 2. Hope your interview went well. Is that what do I look like I'm dressed for an interview? This is not a pure white shirt, by the way. It's got little dots all over it. It's got a I swear, it's not just an interview shirt. It's got dots everywhere, I swear. You can't see it right now. Biblo on Joyboy Crew. I'm gonna say, I said this in the chapter review, I'll say it here. You just look at the trend, Zunisha, Emith, Biblo. Every single arc we had this mysterious, unexplained, ancient era being, right? Where it was like, oh, I wonder where this character, like, what's this character's story? Oh, we just don't know, but it's from the past, right? So that's established in Zo, and then in Wano it's revealed that Zunisha is from that era, and possibly Joyboy's crewmate, right? Or companion, right? Then Egghead, same thing. What's this mysterious ancient robot? We don't know, but it's just from the past. And then it wakes up, it's like, I'm Joyboy's former crewmate, right? And then we've got Elbaf, right? So 3 storylines in a row. Zunisha reveal in Wano, Emith reveal in Egghead. We get to Elbaf, and it's like, oh, what's this fucking mysterious owl? We don't know. Probably gonna be some Joyboy-related shit, you know? I figure all these characters were transformed in some way. Aryandahal 9630, thanks to the 2. The wiki page for Tsitsimle. Tsitsimitl. Let's try this. Tsitsimitl. Shit, that looks close here. Oh my god. Damn, they had some scary ass god. What is this, Aztec? Yeah, they had some scary ass deities in Aztec mythology. I think it's always interesting, like, like Hindu mythology, we like arms a lot. Like, we like multi-armed gods a lot. I don't know why. Sometimes a concept comes out and it just sticks. So we like multi-armed gods a lot, and we like them holding various items of, significance. So, like, maybe a trident in one arm, a chakra wheel in another arm, things like that, I feel like Aztec mythology, you get a lot of scary skull type stuff, different mythology. Yeah, it's just cool to see how, like, design choices evolve. Julian Reed, thanks for the 5. Why are we acting like Gerd had a serious injury? Anyway, it was just the tips of 4 fingers, and if Chopper couldn't fix it, you all would call him useless as usual. That's true. If Chopper couldn't fix it, then people would be like, you fucking, like, med school dropout. What the fuck? Are you good for figuring out fire solves ice? That's pretty much it. I feel like Chopper's gonna get a resurgence in popularity soon. He's always been a very popular character, except for people who don't like him as a mascot. But I feel like Chopper's gonna get a resurgence in popularity once the Forest God reveal happens. Because, come on, I just think he has the Forest God fruit. I think it's happening. Oh, Justin, I said connection, not powers, as Nami is a descendant of someone who's a master of the Zaza Devil Fruit. And what if the Secret Knight has one other job? Hinting at Pirate King theory involving the Secret Knight. Oh, the God's Knight. Ah, interesting. Are you sharing that in the Pirate King podcast? I'd be curious to see. Nami is descendant of someone who is a master. Yeah, that could be interesting. That could be really... Like, what I'm curious about is, because we're going to go back to the Void Century, right? So, Void Century, at some point, we're going to see who had... Obviously, we'll see Joyboy with the Nika fruit. We will see the Nidhogg user of the past. Probably this God of War that has been talked about, right? So, I imagine we'll see previous Rain God, Earth God, Forest God users. Maybe Nami is... Like, at this point, all the Strats are getting special lineages, whether we like it or not. So... I wouldn't be surprised if Nami has some sort of special descent. That's an interesting idea. Gobble these nuts. Thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 19 months, man. I hope you get your Pirate King podcast submission in. As Justin just referenced, yeah, Pirate King podcast submissions are open, so get those in. I'll be recording them soon next week. So get them in while you can. Legendary freeze frame. You look so handsome in high def. Thank you, Gobble these nuts. Interesting how chummy Emu seems with all these characters. What kind of pants are you wearing with that fancy shirt? I'm just wearing blue jeans. I'm wearing blue jeans. I should be wearing fancier pants. We're going to a restaurant after this. Yeah, and what's interesting to me is that Emu keeps referring to all these characters by their zoan form, right? I wonder if that's because Emu's zoan kind of... I do feel like there's been some level of shift in personality from when Emu transformed, but it's hard to say, right? Because we didn't get that much of Emu pre and post transformation. I wonder if Emu's zoan, because zoans have a mind of their own, I wonder if Emu's in particular has a strong hold on him, and therefore it is able to, like, it's almost as though it is the zoan itself that's talking, and therefore it addresses other zoan fruit users as the zoans themselves, you know? So I wonder if there's a little bit of that going on. Henchme987, thanks for the 5. We haven't seen a zoan for a figure with clear gender being eaten by someone of another gender yet. I hope Dragon gets Zaza's chest when he transforms. I'll say this, okay? I'll say this. This is a thing that people I don't think are talking about as much. Who is Dragon's right hand? Who is Dragon's right-hand man? And why do you think Oda gave him that right-hand man? Who is Dragon's longtime number one partner in crime? I don't see people talking about this. I'm like, I feel like it's in plain sight. I feel like the answer is in plain sight. Like, you know. It doesn't matter if Dragon gets gender swapped eating that fruit. Tiptia, thanks to the 2. In Japanese, MFBF means burn scar not marked by. So, what do you call? MFBF means burn scar not marked by. So I've talked to I don't know your level of knowledge of Japanese. I don't have the best level of knowledge, but I do talk to somebody who, is very experienced in Japanese knowledge and translation. So I get a lot of my translations from him just for clarification. So he has explained to me, I'd have to go back through old conversations, but he's explained to me that, like, it can be interpreted different ways. So it sounds like man of flame, or man touched by flame, or man, like, permanently marked. Like, man marked by flames is not inaccurate. It could, like, the straightforward interpretation would be like man who's been burnt by flame, but from what he's explained to me, it's a little bit ambiguous and it can be interpreted different ways. So it's not written in a straightforward manner, like just man with a burn scar. Because if it was, then we would only have that translation. Like, it would just be straightforward, like man with a burn scar or man with a scar, right? But, you know, TCB goes with man marked by flames. Viz goes with man with a burn scar. Because it's one of those where it's like a little bit, Oda wrote it in a little bit, from my understanding of the Japanese, right? From the understanding that he gave me. Oda wrote it in a manner where there's like a little bit of like poetic language there, in the sense that you don't know how literal it is versus like alluding to something symbolic. JP thanks to the 2. Dragon embodying the Nightmare of Celestials is fire. Yeah, I think that'll be really, really cool. Tiptia Treviso thanks to the 2. Emu stopped not friends, Joy Boy. Emu stopped being... Are you saying Emu stopped being friends with Joy Boy after he ate his devil fruit? Yeah, that's very possible. I imagine power gets to him. But Garp would not respect his pronouns. Yeah. GDYY7 says it's more like man of flame. He equals flame, no equals uff. Yeah. Is this why Oda introduced trans characters in Wano? I'm going to be honest. I think that this... I don't think this is Oda being progressive. I think it's kind of the opposite. Here is my simple reasoning, okay? It's just unfortunate, okay? I think the reason... So we all know that Oda is essentially allergic to writing female characters who are strong in combat in the story, right? Oda just pretty much does not do that, right? If you did a One Piece all-time top 30, the only character who would make it who's a woman would be Big Mom. And at this point, with the way the top 30 is expanding, there's a solid chance Big Mom doesn't even crack it, right? So Oda just does not write strong female combatants. Now, I suspect that the same is going to apply in the final saga. There's going to be a lot of these god fruits going around, and most likely it's going to be all dudes that have them, because they're the most powerful fruits. Like Luffy, Emu, Dragon, fucking Chopper. Oda might give the Chopper, the forest god fruit to Chopper before he gives a woman something, okay? So I suspect that all the god fruits are going to be going to male characters, right? All the same old story as One Piece, all the male characters are going to have the strongest fruits. But I think some part of Oda's deep subconscious tells him that, like, wait, this is like maybe too overwhelmingly male-centric. It doesn't make sense that all the gods that people worship in the story are males, right? So out of the original gods that Oda wrote, sun god, forest god, rain god, earth god, Oda probably had to decide, like, well, for equality, let me make at least one of these gods a goddess. You know what I mean? Like in the One Piece universe's mythology. So hence, and like the rain, if you were to just go through those four gods, sun god, earth god, rain god, forest god, if you were to pick one, like to make a woman, I feel like rain seems like, you know, a traditional sort of choice. It's like, okay, the rain god, she's a goddess. Like people believe in her as a goddess. I believe that was Oda's logic. But at the end of the day, the fruits are all going to go to dudes. Does that make sense? Because I think even Oda took pause and was like, okay, I want all the men, like I want men to have all the strongest fruits at the end of the day. But even by my standards, it just doesn't make sense that in One Piece mythology, there's no goddesses that anyone prays to. Okay, fuck it. One of these is a goddess. The rain one, that's a goddess. But the fruits still go into a man. It's still going to dragon. Does that make sense? Like, if you just sit back and think from Oda's perspective, it pretty much perfectly lines up with how Oda would think, right? Like, okay, am I really going to write a story where all the gods are men? One's a woman, but it won't really matter because the fruit's going to go to a dude, you know? Like, just think about it. It's definitely, you know, it's, like, that's definitely, I sincerely think that that's how he came up with this. He had to, like, somewhere in his brain, or an editor told him or something, it's like, dude, even the mythical deities, you're just going to make them all dudes? Fine. One can be a woman, but the fruits still go into a man. That's it. You know, simple. I don't think it's that complicated. JP, thanks for the 5. Nidhogg isn't a god fruit, but it's the fruit of the guy who started the God of War myth, so it should be penciled in unofficially as the war god fruit. Yeah, my personal view is that the Nidhogg fruit is essentially the strongest possible. The Nidhogg fruit is unique in that the Nidhogg fruit on its own is probably only about as strong as Kaido's fruit, right? But because it scales with size, right? If you get the max value out of the Nidhogg fruit, so an ancient giant eats it, at max value, right? It's a normal mythical zoan that can reach quote unquote god fruit level powers, depending on the user, you know? Whereas something like, does that make sense? That's my interpretation of it. Like, if the Nidhogg fruit, if Loki was equally, like, exactly as strong as, if you took a character who is exactly as strong as base Loki, let's just say, like, let's say Rox, like, I mean, Rox himself, he talked about it, right? Rox can't eat that Nidhogg fruit and get as powerful as Loki with the Nidhogg fruit, or even Harold with the Nidhogg fruit, right? Even if Rox and Harold are equal, the Nidhogg fruit is not going to do as much for Rox. It's not going to get him to like, a god tier power or anything like that, right? But it would for Harold. So the Nidhogg fruit's kind of the exception. It's kind of like, it's the only, I view it as the only normal mythical zoan that is, depending on the user, can break that glass ceiling and be comparable to, the god fruits, you know? Now, what Big Mom top 15 all time? I think I don't know now. Is she top 15 all time? Cuz like all time is getting really stacked, okay? Because the problem is we're going back to earlier eras, right? And all the strongest characters from those eras are also that we're hearing about are also dudes, right? Because we've got let's just go back one world, right? So just to the second world. We haven't even gotten to the first world yet. So second world, we've got from that world we've got Emu, Joy Boy, Emu, Joy Boy, what do you call? Emu, Joy Boy, God of War, right? And then likely Davy Jones, who is probably comparable to Rox, right? So that's 4 right there. Then we get to the modern era. Okay? Modern era. Harold. Probably fucking Jarl, if he's comparable to Harold, right? I'm just trying to go in chronological order. Then we got Rox, Roger, Whitebeard, Garp, Kaido. Okay? So that's 11 characters already that are, just from what we know so far, stronger than Big Mom. Okay? And that's just from what we know so far. Alright? Then we enter dangerous territory for Big Mom, because now you've got all of these up and coming, like you've got all of these modern day characters. And we're still figuring out where they're supposed to fall, right? Most people would say Shanks above Big Mom, which by extension, Mihawk above Big Mom. Most people say Dragon above Big Mom. Where does that put Shamrock? If Shamrock's comparable to Shanks, then he's also above Big Mom. Already, if you're counting, Big Mom is now out of the top 15. Okay? And we still have more to go in the story. Alright? She's already out of the top 15 conclusively. And then you've got a lot of characters that people are going to want to argue different ways, like Akainu, right? We don't know Garling's full strength with his Gorosei upgrades and stuff like that, right? So there's a lot of... we're not there yet, where I would be like, Big Mom's out of the top 30. But if you just stacked up all the characters, fucking Ryuma, right? Like, you can keep, like, so now confidently out of the top 15, right? So you can, there's so many characters over the last, if you wanted to focus on just the last 20 years, then of course, Big Mom's near the top. But the problem is that we've kept going through history, and Oda keeps adding new, really strong characters. But it doesn't matter. From the second world, all the strong characters we're hearing about are dudes. From the third world so far, any point historically that you go, it's characters like Ryuma, like Jarl, those characters that are being added in the mix. Those are dudes, right? Old gen, right? We're learning about more characters like Rox, Harold, new characters like Loki popping up, right? All dude, like Big Mom just keeps moving down the list, and then that's before even getting to the absolute modern day characters where it's like, okay, well, how strong is Shamrock? How strong is Akainu at this point? Has he gotten an upgrade? Stuff like that. So, I don't know. GDYY7 says that I don't think anyone reading would question it if all the Godfruits were male, lol. But it's kind of like, at a certain point, Oda or some editor was probably just like, hey, maybe diversify it slightly, you know? I'm not saying that the majority of readers would be like, oh, this is an outrage or something like that, but it does become, it's just like, even lore-wise, it's just a little weird to write a world where every deity that people believe in is a male. I mean, even in the most sexist societies throughout history, I don't think there's a single mythology where every single deity is viewed as a male. So I think at a certain point, just for like sake of pure realism, Oda's like, okay, well, they probably believe in at least one woman, you know? Obsidian Angel, thanks for the 10. I read a theory saying that Emu used observation haki to look through Mihawk's eyes to see Marine Ford. I know it's non-canon, but we saw it in Film Red too. I don't know anything about that happening in Film Red, but that's interesting. Emu saw through Mihawk's eyes in Film Red? I don't know about that. Emu using observation I don't know where Mihawk falls in all this. My preference is that Mihawk is just a dude who got really strong. I find that much more inspiring than Mihawk being tied to Emu or the Celestial Dragons or like some Nerona Nepo baby or something, personally. But that's my personal preference. Hey, it's Ray. Thanks for being a Pirate King to remember for 22 months. Moj, you mentioned the Wind Devil Fruit fits the Last God's Night because he's an uncatchable man like the winds, but in my opinion, this also fits Dragon. Furthermore, wind also represents freedom in a lot of literature. Yeah, I'm not saying, so like, how do I say this? Let's get Streamlights up to 100. I 100% think that Dragon having the Wind Logia was a natural, easy fit for a lot of reasons so far. Both in terms of the powers that he's displayed, and what he symbolizes. I think all of that fits, right? But, but it's not like a only one thing fits one person type situation, right? So Dragon as a Wind Logia made sense to so many readers for a long time for many reasons, both between what his powers displayed and the symbolism, right? But we're reaching a point in the story where it's starting to feel like, okay, Dragon might not just have the Wind Logia. It might be something more, right? So then that's why we're looking at the Rain God Fruit, right? It's kind of process of elimination. So that's why we're looking at the Rain God Fruit and being like, okay, this also really, really fits Dragon, and might be the more dramatic reveal at the end of the day, and might be more what Oda's building up towards, right? So with that logic, then it's like, okay, well, if Dragon is instead of being representing the wind, he's going to represent the rain, which also fits him, then where now does the Wind Logia go to, right? Where does the Wind Logia go to? And just like that, Man Marked by Flames is kind of the next best option. If you told me right now that there is no Rain God Fruit, right? The Rain God Fruit doesn't exist, then I would say the number one choice for Wind Logia would be Dragon. Okay? But because it's starting to look like Dragon might have something more than the Wind Logia, and Rain God Fruit is becoming very attractive for him, now by order of elimination, we're taking the Wind Logia and giving it to Man Marked by Flames. In theory, this is all speculative. At the end of the day, Dragon might still have, At the end of the day, Dragon might still have, the Wind Logia. It's possible. Yeah, I think Vivi's a solid possibility as well. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. JP, thanks for the 10. These living weapons are treated as just part of the wielder's power scaling, but I'm beginning to think that Ragnar should be counted as his own person, and some of Loki's feats should be seen as 2v1. I think for power scaling purposes, it's like, yeah, just go with whatever you feel like is appropriate. I think here's the trick. Like, I'll be honest. So, like, I think people who are really, really into power scaling are gonna really have lots of debates about what counts as just Loki versus Ragnar. I think for me, for simplicity, I just count them together. Because, one, I am not interested in scaling Ragnar. I think that's a fool. I'm not interested in scaling Ragnar by himself. I think that's like a fool's errand, Like, it's just, what good is there to come out of that? Like, I don't want to be spending stream time debating for like 50. If I go down the hole of like, okay, Ragnar's its own thing, I can see myself in streams debating Ragnar versus Aokiji. Ragnar versus like Roger, shit like that. I could see that happening, I don't want to do that, so I'm just gonna package it with Loki. I think one of the reasons I count to me, I think my simple logic is like, okay, if it's this doesn't apply for everybody. Like, you can have your own. This is like a pick and choose, like what you think, how you choose to interpret it, right? I guess I just tell myself like, it seems like Ragnar only works for Loki, right? And like chooses to be a tool for him. And it's not like it's a tool that can be passed around that everybody can use, right? So it chooses to be a tool for Loki. And then the other part is also that Ragnar is a hammer, right? Like, it is a hammer first and foremost. I think it would be a little different if Ragnar, I think that's a swing factor for me. If Ragnar was literally a magic squirrel that ate a hammer fruit, then I might lean towards, okay, Ragnar, I'll count it as its own thing. But because it's the other way, I'm like, okay, Ragnar is a hammer that ate the the, you know, uh, the squirrel fruit, I flip and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just count it as part of Loki's arsenal, okay? Because it ultimately is a hammer first, and then it's a hammer first, and then a living being second. Technically, I guess it's not very logical. It's just it's just what makes it easier in my head. I don't feel like scaling Loki by himself versus with Ragnar. It gets too messy. Because we're gonna see Loki fighting with the hammer 99% of the time, so it's like it just gets too messy outside of that. Tio Treviso says having a win Logia and having Haki equal to Garp could easily still make him above Pirate King tier. I think once your Haki gets to that level, the fruit matters significantly less. You need a crazy strong fruit for it to like tip the scales. Because like for example, like Kaido and Big Mom, they're really really powerful, but ultimately I feel like the thing that makes them really powerful first and foremost is the fact that if they swing their weapons, they can split the sky, right? Like that, like to me, their physical powerhouses first and foremost, and then the fruits are like plus extra points. Okay, does that make sense? Like I essentially think Kaido would still be Yonko tier, even if he did not have his fruit. I think Big Mom would be Yonko tier if she did not have her fruit. Does that make sense? I think like at a certain level, the fruits give you that extra added advantage. They maybe move you up higher or lower into the tier, but not anything crazy. Like Whitebeard, I think Whitebeard is Haki that's comparable to Roger and Garp, but Whitebeard, even with the fucking Gura Gura no Mi, isn't above their tier. Does that make sense? Because Haki's just so important in the story. So I think the only fruits that really bump you like like a full tier up are like fruits like the Nidhogg, like which when you're basically like specifically for Loki, when Loki, because Loki's an ancient giant, the Nidhogg scales him up to like, okay, once you can open your mouth and you can blow up an island, yeah, like you're basically an ancient weapon. In my mind, you've moved up. That's the type of fruit that moves you up a tier. Like casually being able to blow up, like drop Rygos like that, drop like Lucia destroying level attacks like that, Emu's fruit, Emu's fruit, whatever the fuck it does, I'm sure that it's boosting him up like a full solid tier from where he would normally be at. So does that make sense? Like I view devil fruits, even very strong fruits, as having diminishing returns the higher you go up the Haki scale. Yeah. Jarl is a massive reach? What? How is Jarl if Jarl is comparable to Herald, because it's implied that Jarl is comparable to Herald. Um, yeah, I've got him above Big Mom easy. I think underestimating Elbaf Giants is just like silly at this point because we've already been shown like, okay, the strongest Elbaf Giant of every generation so far is Pirate King tier, like in base. We already saw that with Loki. We saw that with Harold. It like it doesn't, and it's never been implied that like Harold and Loki, like Harold's some sort of exception in that he's way stronger than previous Giant Kings or anything. He's just treated as yeah, that's standard. That's how strong Elbaf's Giant Kings are. Emu salivated over him because Emu was like, wait, we finally got a king of the giants that actually is obedient and willing to pursue peace and stuff like that and listen to me or like, and be my puppet, It wasn't even because like Harold was supposedly stronger than the likes of Jarl, I think just what we've been shown so far, Elbaf has pretty much run the New World for forever, and that's because like their top dog is always, broken. All right, guys, I hate to break it to you, but I'm gonna get through these supers, and then I'm gonna have to start to wind down stream because this whole day got really messy, and I'm running a little bit late for stuff. So let's get through these real quick. Sorry about that. Mitch, yeah, anyway, long way of saying that the Wind Logia, I don't think the Wind Logia would, it's not even, my guess is that it's not even one of the strongest Logias, right? Like, I doubt it's as strong as the Yami Yami no Mi or the Pika Pika no Mi or I don't think it's as strong as the Light Fruit or the Lightning Fruit or even the Magma Fruit or something like that. So, certainly not comparable to Kaido, Big Mom, or Whitebeard's fruits. So, I don't think it's something that would shift a character who is already Yonko or Pirate King level into a whole different tier. Mitch Cam, thanks for the 5. Oda really wrote Zoro and Queen as backstory about how gender doesn't matter just to write a story where it absolutely does. Yeah. I mean, she couldn't even beat Stairs at the end of the day, let alone the patriarchy. JP, thanks for the 5. But Ragnar fought off a generation of kings, including Harold in the past with no wielder. Kinda impressive solo feat. It's true. It's true. I don't have much to say about that. You it's just we don't really see it, you know? Like it's not even like it's something like how do I say? It's one thing where we don't see it, but it's another thing where we are regularly being shown Ragnar in combat, and it doesn't seem like he's the type of guy that could beat like generations of Elbaf kings on his own, right? So it's when the actual on-screen showings don't really match up with what we're told the character can do, right? Like, you're telling me that Ragnar could have fucked up rocks and probably the entire old generation? I guess so, but, like, he's not doing shit in this fight against Emu outside of, like, being a hammer and, like, spraying some ice this chapter, you know? So that's why I'm not interested in scaling Ragnar, you know? Like, I'm just not going to scale him on his own. Sure, if you feel that Ragnar is above all the Pirate King level characters, I'm not going to argue it. I'm just not interested in scaling him by himself. Julian Reed, thanks to the 2. Ragnar mentioned before Ryuma is getting rough. I don't know if Ryuma is going to be that big of a deal outside of... I think Wano would be the story arc where it was the biggest deal. Sean Easton, 1040, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 36 months, man. Thanks for the long time support. I hope you get your Pirate King podcast submission in while it's up right now. Something interesting about One Piece power scaling, a lot of upgrades are about concentrating power more, which often does less environmental damage. So actual attack power is calculated differently. I agree, but at the same time, Oda also likes to highlight like large scale stuff as indicative of power in a sense. So it depends, you know, like Oda himself makes a big deal when he's like, oh my god, Big Mom is able to change the weather of all of Whole Cake Island. Oh my god, Whitebeard created these giant tidal waves and stuff, you know? Oh my god, this attack was so powerful that it split the skies or caused mountains to crash down and stuff like that, right? So I'm not saying it's like a one-to-one thing where, oh, just because a character can destroyed a mountain with this attack, whereas this character didn't, means, you know, this attack's stronger, that attack's stronger. It's not that one-to-one, but Oda does like to use... There's some level of correlation, right? It's not exact. There's some level of correlation, but not... Like, Emu hasn't done anything that is just, like, on a crazy island-level scale, but at the same time, he's blocking attacks that are on that scale from Loki, which suggests that he, you know, his power is higher than that in a sense, even if he's not doing damage on that scale, you know? Rhea Chia, thanks to the 5. What if the reason all the objects can eat devil fruits is because they have their own Cloboterman? That is an awesome idea. I love that idea. Shit, could the Sunny eat a devil fruit? No, because then it can't swim. Okay, never mind. But that's a really, really good idea. I like that. They, like, objects eventually get their own souls. Love that idea. JP, thanks to the 2. Emu acknowledges Ragnar, but not Ryuma. Curious. I mean, because Ragnar's right in front of him, you know? I mean, I guess Zoro popped in front of him, but I don't know. I don't think Emu was in Wano ever, you know? I don't think that Emu was ever in Wano. And this is going to have to be my last question for the day. JP, thanks for the 2. Loki never beat Ragnar. We see it on screen. Yeah, the thing is that, I feel like part of it is Ragnar chooses you, right? So it's not just like a power thing. I feel like it's, to me, it's like a King Arthur sword type thing, or like a Mjolnir type, or no, I guess Mjolnir doesn't, you know what I mean? I think part of it is just that Ragnar senses something about Loki as a person, as like, this was the right wielder I was waiting for, you know? That's my thought. I don't know how much accuracy there is to that. Roboske, thanks for the 2. Jarl's equal died to Kid Big Mom. He is a bum. No, it's established that that guy was not Jarl's equal. It's literally explained that Jarl was the strongest being to come from this land, you know? Not Jarl and that other dude. It's established Jarl 300 years ago was the strongest. It also doesn't, like, Kid Big Mom... Once they're fucking, like, that old, does it really matter? You know? Like, keep in mind, characters age differently. Does that make sense? Like, some characters age elegantly. Like, 80-year-old Garp, you know. Wait, how old? Yeah, like, yeah, the Giants would essentially have been in their, like, late 80s or 90s in human years, right? When that Big Mom incident happened, right? Late 80s or 90s. And then on top of that, like, sure, some characters age well, like Garp isn't going to lose to some 5-year-old. But then you've got other characters like, you know, like Hyogoro, like, became fucking shriveled up and weak as fuck, you know? If you, like, even Whitebeard, right? If you let Whitebeard age 10 more years, considering he was already, like, fucking on life support and having heart attacks and stuff, yeah, Whitebeard would have some really bad showings at that point. Miss Super from Flitch. 1 second. My bad, Flitch. Flitch, thanks for the Flitch757. Thanks for the 5. Thoughts about Trafalgar D Waterlaw connection to Zaza, Descendant, or maybe just a cool name? I think just a cool name, but that's an interesting idea for sure. All right. Broshi is 5. We're not doing this. Kid Big Mom murders equal. But I don't even know what to say. Like, that guy's not his equal. It's literally stated in the story that Jarl was the strongest, not this other dude. So I don't really know where the comparison's coming from. All right, everybody. All right. We are going to call it here. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. And sorry about the shortened stream today. Maybe we can try and do a longer one on Monday, but I am doing a trip this weekend, so I will come back with... I'll do the best I can on Monday. On Monday. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the chapter, and with that, I will talk to you all later.